Welcome back to the Operation Freedom YouTube channel. What we do here is shine the light of truth on the deep state. They hate that. We do it figuratively with our presentations. We do it literally with our sponsor's product, PatriotLegacy.com. PatriotLegacy.com, featured product of theirs, the Patriot Beacon. 6 overall lighting functions. In addition, solar powered, don't need batteries. You can charge your other devices like your phone from it. In addition, you got a compass, you got a window breaking hammer, and you got a seatbelt cutter. Plus, if those deep state dweebs get just a little bit too close to you, blast them with this. They're gone. Go to patrioticlegacy.com, patrioticlegacy.com. Get yourself, your kids, your grandkids, your car. Can carry it with you anytime. patrioticlegacy.com, the Patriot Beacon. And we were told, when asked, why are we being audited? You know, we put money back in our kids' education. We don't have any foreign investments. We don't have any of this. Direct quote from the IRS. Quote, "It starts with his radio show," end quote. And we were told in no uncertain terms, if you want this audit to go away, just shut up. Stop doing the radio show. Well, I didn't. In fact, up the ante, kept calling them out on it. And we challenged them every step of the way. And they got zero of unreported income. Because there was nothing, we were honest. But that's what they do. They target honest people. And they try to take them down. To get them back in the lane. So they shut up. And that's exactly how they're targeting General Flynn. No doubt about it. There's a recent article, and I'll link it here, by Kelly Nelson, "Whitewashing Traitors While Destroying Patriots." There are some in black robes sitting on federal benches all across this country. They're Democrats, Republicans, liberals, and even conservatives that pervert the Constitution. Paul Brown. Quote, "As long as judges tinker with the Constitution to do what the people want instead of what the document actually commands, politicians who pick and confirm new federal judges will naturally want only those who agree with them politically." Antonin Scalia. Quote, "Take all..." Well, they had can't have him talking about it, right? Look what happened to him. Quote, "Take all the robes off all the good judges who have ever lived on the face of the earth, and they would not be large enough to cover the inequity of one corrupt judge." End quote. Henry Ward Beecher. These are the quotes that Kelly Nelson points out. And here's what she says. "My personal opinion," this is as it relates to General Flynn. This is Kelly Nelson. "My personal opinion is Judge Emmett Sullivan is a disgrace to the bench regarding General Flynn's case. Why? Because he's denying all Brady evidence. That's exculpatory evidence that shows General Flynn is innocent. He is denying all Brady evidence requested by defense counsel Sidney Powell, just as he denied requests for a mistrial in the case of Senator Stevens, a conviction he later dismissed. Sullivan has tossed General Flynn's claim that he was a victim of FBI misconduct. The judge has set January 28, 2020 for General Michael Flynn's sentencing for a process crime based on a conversation he had with a Russian ambassador on December 29, 2016, which was completely legal, 7 weeks after the presidential election. Sullivan based his decision and relied heavily on the Mueller report. And I've gone into this in my dissection of the General Flynn decision. And I encourage you to go on this YouTube channel. I did a 2-parter on this. Kelly states, "Sullivan trusts Mueller. Read that Andrew Weissman, Mueller's lead counsel, and Weissman, the attorney who screwed up the entire Enron case and should have been disbarred. The Department of Justice, who has denied requested Brady materials over and over again, and like so many other cases prosecuted by the Department of Justice, threats against the family to secure a plea of guilt, these deep state impresarios are trustworthy. They are, in fact, licensed to lie." By the way, that's the name of Sidney Powell's great book, Licensed to Lie. I encourage you to get it. "Has the judge not been listening to the phony impeachment hearings and reading the Inspector General's report on the lies of the Department of Justice to the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act courts? Has he not read any of Attorney Sidney Powell's briefs? Or maybe even her book? Who appointed this judge? 2 Republican presidents and 1 Democrat. Sullivan was appointed to the bench of the Superior Court of the District of Columbia in 1984 by Ronald Reagan. To the District of Columbia Court of Appeals as an associate judge in 1992 by President George H.W. Bush, and to the federal bench in 1994 by President Bill Clinton. Judge Sullivan presided over the 2008 trial of U.S. Senator Ted Stevens. During the trial, the judge refused requests by the defense for a mistrial to be declared after information was revealed that the prosecution had withheld exculpatory Brady material. Sound familiar? 8 days after the guilty verdict, Stevens narrowly lost his election bid. And without his vote against Obamacare, Obamacare passed. They had to get rid of Stevens so he could not vote to hold back Obamacare. Did the judge withhold the truth in Stevens' case until he lost the election so Obamacare could get through? As more evidence of prosecutorial misconduct became known in early 2009, Judge Sullivan held 4 prosecutors in civil contempt of court, including Andrew Weissman, the chief rat of Robert Mueller, right? On the Trump-Russia investigation. On April 1st, 2009, following a Justice Department probe that found additional evidence of prosecutorial misconduct, the Department of Justice recommended that Stevens' conviction be dismissed. After the vote, we can let it go now. Few people know that Robert Mueller oversaw the witch hunt against Senator Stevens. Sidney Powell's true legal thriller, License to Lie, debunks everything the media and the government told us about the Department of Justice's destruction and prosecution of the revered accounting firm Arthur Andersen Merrill Lynch Wealth Management executives who did one business transaction with Enron, the purposeful destruction of Alaska Senator Ted Stevens' reputation, and even more. Department of Justice attorneys continue to lie to federal judges, and those judges continue to accept their blatant lies. And in fact, the information we just presented on our platform, the subscription platform, this Rosemary Collier, this head of the FISA court that's pointing the finger at the FBI saying, you guys, you gave us bad information. Well, then all of a sudden, Rosemary Collier on December 20th of 2019 says, I'm going to retire, health reasons. Yeah. Maybe it's because Devin Nunes in February 2018, 2 years ago, sent her a letter saying, you know what, the FBI is hitting you with fraudulent information. And what was her response? Quote, trust the executive branch, trust the FBI, end quote. She's leaving for health reasons. Well, maybe. But she's leaving for other reasons, because there is information we put forward on our platform coming from investigative journalists Mary Fanning and Alan Jones that goes back to April 26th of 2017 when Judge Collier, the head of the FISA court, issued an order. And that order is a smoking gun. And every single one of those FISA judges should be brought in front of Congress under oath and asked about it. Because there was some destruction of evidence because of that order from Judge Collier. She's in it up to her eyeballs, as are all the FISA judges, who, by the way, are appointed by Judge John Judas Roberts, who also is in it up to his eyeballs. Kelly goes on. For nearly 3 years, the Flynn family has suffered the irrefutable FBI setup of this decorated military hero. Democrat Party operatives as investigators, including Andrew Weissman, who was held in civil contempt of court in a very similar case. Well, they're all involved. Senator Stevens' tainted prosecution was a clear case of Department of Justice meddling in a Senate election. General Flynn's tainted prosecution is a clear case of the Department of Justice meddling in an effort to overturn a presidential election and influence the upcoming presidential election. It was FBI Director James Comey who sent 2 FBI agents to interview Flynn in order to trip him up over his phone call with Russian ambassador. It was an ambush. Sidney Powell filed a brief citing evidence that FBI Director Comey said, quote, screw it, end quote, to long-standing FBI protocols that would have prevented the agents from interviewing the new National Security Advisor General Flynn because it was an ambush. Agent Strzok and Pienka had the transcript of General's phone call to Russian Ambassador Kislyak, and their original 302 stated Michael Flynn did not lie about discussing Obama sanctions with the ambassador. While answering questions in an interview he thought was inconsequential, Flynn did not have a strong recollection of his conversations with the ambassador. Incredibly, the FBI amended, as I've outlined in my videos, its 302s, the 302 forms that the FBI fills out when they interview somebody. They amended their 302s to suggest that General Flynn lies. Joel Pollack's article in Breitbart states that General Flynn's lawyers allege that Department of Justice Lisa Page, Strzok's squeeze, actually changed the 302 reports, and I have it that McCabe also did. As his attorney Sidney Powell points out, the agents moved a sentence to make it seem to be an answer to a question it was not. A 25-year FBI agent, James Gagliano, says that Comey's FBI altering the 302 summaries has done irreparable damage that will take a generation to recover. Powell demanded the original or first draft of the FBI 302 of the interview of Mr. Flynn on January 24, 2017, as well as any records or documents that show everyone who made changes to that 302. Judge Sullivan said no. See, judges are great at withholding evidence. With evidence that would show that the deep state was behind the takedown of General Flynn. Sidney Powell was correct when she said, quote, "The government has continued to defy its constitutional, ethical, and legal obligations to this court and to the defense, and to hide evidence that it knows exonerates Mr. Flynn." As is the evidence of the problem here, instead of protecting its citizens, the government is protecting its own criminal conduct and operatives. Remember with General Flynn, the original 302 is missing. They interviewed him on January 24, 2017. They had 5 days to file it. By January 29, 2017, that form needed to be in. It was not. It's supposedly still missing, right? It's in their Sentinel system. They just don't want to produce it because it shows, it exonerates General Flynn. But there are other 302 forms. There's only supposed to be one. The original's missing. But there's some edited versions. February 2010, 2017, February 11, 2017, February 14, 2017, February 15, 2017, all edited by who? McCabe and Lisa Page, to make it look like General Flynn lied. This denied exculpatory evidence, this is Kelly going on, could prove both his innocence and the FBI's collusion to eliminate President Trump for National Security Advisor. This is a sham and a protection factor for the Department of Justice deep state. If Attorney General Barr does not step up, then Attorney General Barr is protecting the Department of Justice, not the life of an innocent man. In the ongoing case, United States versus Michael T. Flynn, the Department of Justice's prosecution team did not turn over exculpatory evidence to General Flynn's defense attorney. Withholding exculpatory evidence from the defense is prosecutorial misconduct, and the Flynn case is not the first time the Department of Justice has denied a defendant their constitutional rights. This is what Kelly concludes with. The prosecution has willingly and knowingly suppressed key evidence that would prove General Flynn's innocence. He is entitled to due process and to the disclosure of all evidence that would help his case, but the Department of Justice has not been forthcoming with those documents. The general's constitutional rights were violated by FBI Director James Comey, Loretta Lynch's Justice Department, Special Counsel Robert Mueller, and the Justice Department, including former Assistant U.S. Attorney Deborah Curtis, who until September 27, 2019, was the lead Department of Justice attorney prosecuting General Flynn's case. We've talked about her before. On September 27, 2019, investigative journalists Mary Fanning and Alan Jones, who had previously talked about Deborah Curtis deep-sixing illegal surveillance material, published another article on that same day. Sidney Powell tweeted about it. That evening, Deborah Curtis was taken off The prosecution team is no longer with the Department of Justice. Coincidence, maybe. But as I was told early on in my health care policy work in Washington, D.C., as far back as 1988, there are no coincidences that occur in Washington. Everything's linked. Kelly Nelson's great article concludes, General Michael Flynn has served this nation and his president with honor. He has lost everything at the hands of the government he served for over 33 years. It is time for President Trump to act and to pardon General Flynn and his other supporters who have lost everything for supporting an outsider to make America great again. The stench of corruption emanates from Obama's Department of Justice and those within who aspire to destroy the will of the American people. Those who are guilty of treasonous crimes walk free, while the innocent suffer. And the hope and the determination of all of us on this platform is that 2020 will be seen as the year where it all ended for the deep state, where the persecution of President Trump, of countries such as Ukraine, of patriots such as General Flynn, will be made whole, and the deep state will be taken down. There are millions of us. There are at most a couple thousand of them. They don't want us to realize numbers are on our side in a huge way. It's time, folks. It's time that we bring the information forward to everyone we know, to educate as many as possible, because the more people that become educated, the sooner this reign of terror ends by these deep state criminals. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you'll join us at the DaveJanda.com platform. I hope you'll become a subscriber. It's a big year. Until next time, Dave Janda signing off. Dream big and dare to fail. Thank you for your time today.